Today we will discuss on the subtopic which are measuring economic and social impact and current initiative in environmental related management. Let me explain the economic impact. So, what is economic impact? Economic impact in this context mean the economic impact to the environmental management. Basically, it discusses on how the environmental activities conducted by organization will affect the financial or economy of business. It also involves costs to enhance for a better environment in the organization. In the next slide, let me explain to you the example of costs involved in to enhance for a better environment. For the first example is cost of packaging. Costs in every industry, they use green packaging or eco-friendly packaging as it is made of recycled waste material which reduce the consumption of resources. They can reduce the additional cost of the packaging too. For the second example is the cost to minimize the amount of wastage dumped to the river and air emission. They can reduce the waste dumped in the river by affording a pollution control equipment that should be developed in every factories with incentive given by the government for installing the equipment. For example, number 3 is the cost of water treatment plant. In order to reduce the energy use, the aeration blowers can be made more efficient by using variable frequency drives to achieve reduced output to match demand. They can also reconfigure aeration blowers by installing fire bubbles aeration diffusers. It can decrease electric power utilization as oxygen transfer efficiency is increased. The engine or gas turbine driven electric generators to reduce the amount of power. The fourth example is the cost of collecting and disposing of waste. The waste such as unused raw materials and disposals. The company can reduce costs by identifying how much material is wasted in production, whereby the weight of materials bought is compared to the product yield. From this process, potential cost savings may be identified. So that's all for the costs involved. For the example of costs involved in to enhance the environment. Let's go to the next slide. So for the next slide is on how to measure economic impacts to the environment is by using an environmental accounting method such as input or output analysis, flow cost accounting, activity-based costing, and life cycle costing. For input or output analysis, it records material inflows and balances this with outflows on the basis that what comes in must go out. For the flow cost accounting, the material flows by looking at the physical quantities involved, their costs and their values. The purpose is to reduce the quantity of materials as well as have a positive effect on the business total cost. The next accounting method is activity-based costing. It is a method that identifies activities and assigns the cost of each activities to all products and services according to the actual consumption by each. Last but not least is the life cycle costing. I will explain about the life cycle costing later on. All methods of calculation representing the environmental cost, and it is system of planning and managing for a better financial performance in environmental costs. So, for the next slide is the step to measure the economic impact in the environment. The first step is to define success. The second step is to decide what to measure. Third step to determine how to measure and value impacts. And the fourth is incorporate environmental measures into decision making. The first step is to define success by calculating the environmental cost. It is important to define the success of the implementation of the method to the cost, whether it is successful or not. The second step is to decide what to measure, whether the certain impact of the method will give benefit to the company, and whether they use the appropriate measurement of the materials, such as the material measure by using metric ton, and the energy used is 5,000 gigawatt. For the third step is to determine how to measure and value impact. There are few methods, which is life cycles analysis, environmental footprint, ecosystem service valuation, environmental input, and output modeling. As I said earlier, I will explain the life cycle analysis later. For environmental input and output modeling, I already explained it to you from earlier slide. I will explain to you the environmental footprint and also ecosystem service valuation. So, environmental footprint means that the effect that a person, company, activity has on the environment. This is a measure that attempts to consider multiple impacts of an activity rather than focus on a single one. So for a second one is ecosystem service valuation. It benefits people that obtain from ecosystem. This emphasizes between the function of nature that happen and the subsequent benefit, which is goods and service, provided to the society as a result of those functions. For the last step is to incorporate environmental measures into decision making. It is to evaluate whether the method is appropriate to be used in the environmental cost, and they can communicate with each other about the method used so that they can gain a new idea from other people, and also they can improve the measurement to ensure for a better and accurate environmental cost. So that's all for the slide. For this slide, let's go to the next slide. In this slide, I will explain to you on why should we measure environmental cost. It is because the organization has better strategy in reducing the cost. The organization also will be better in managing the environmental cost, and also the company can discover the chance to offset or minimize the environmental cost, and also the environmental cost products and process is accurately calculated. I already explained on the economic impact towards the environmental cost. From what that I explained earlier, I can conclude that there is a positive impact on the economy. Um, It is to improve the cost efficiency. The company can improve the management of environmental costs by identify and analyze the relevant costs that need to be incurred. The second one is the positive financial performance of the company. Good implementation of environmental management costs will contribute positive financial performance of the company. Uh, Positive financial performance of company means that it is proper and accurate financial performance of the company will be performed.
Okay, let's move to the social impact of environmental costs. Social impact of environmental costs is the impact of an organization activity on society, including the broader community, employees, customers, and suppliers. The portion of total outcome of the organization activity will affect the relationship between company and its stakeholders, which are involving the internal and external stakeholders. There are four elements of social impact of environmental costs. The first element is input. It is where the resources have been invested in business activity will be measured as a cost. The second element is outputs. It is the direct and tangible result produced from the business activity or the program of the business. The third element is the outcomes. It is where the changes happen to the people resulting from the business activity of or the program. The last element is the impacts. It is an outcome less an estimate of what would have been happened anyway. The example for the four elements of the social impact for the input, the example is the cost incurred for the training and online business program. From the training program, it will produce an output where the number of 30 participants of the program have learned to create an advertisement for their business. Then, the outcome, there are a number of people start an online business to improve their personal life after join the training program. And lastly, the impact. The program will produce 20 or 30 entrepreneurs that are able to develop online business application. So, how to measure the social impact of the environmental cost? First, study on the output that to be measured. Second, organization needs to know the objective of the stakeholder. And third, measure the social return on the investment, SROI. Okay, firstly, the organization need to study and identify the output that need to be measured. It is important for the organization to know what output that need to be measured. The organization need to have the objective that include the theory of changes where the outputs measures progress towards achieving the change through any organization work. So, the organization need to make explicit relationship between the desired outcome and the desired activities. It is a foundation for any mission-driven initiative that work on solving the globe's most pressing social and environment. Referred as term theory of changes, it can impact a company to seek or achieve as well as intermediate step to make sure that the business activity and resources are well aligned with the changes. For the second one, the organization need to know the objective of the different stakeholder and it will lead to the new sources of the value creation. As the organization carry on the activity of the program, they need to measure the value by prioritizing the stakeholder needs. For example, the organization needs to identify and prioritize the stakeholder needs by consulting with the stakeholders. Then, the organization needs to measure the progress toward the main objective and understand whether the stakeholders' objective matches or conflict with the organization objective. Lastly, they will tell the stakeholder what the organization doing well or where could be improved and the future goals of the organization. The last but not least, the social return on the investment. Social return on the investment is a way to monetize the value of social impact in the financial term. Social return of in the investment ratio, that called as SROI ratio, is calculated by the net present value of benefit dividing the net present value of the investment. To give a very simplistic example, the SROI ratio assigns a monetary value to input and the outcomes. If the ratio is 5 over 1, it means that every dollar allocated will generated or has generated the social value that worth $5. Next, what is the importance to measure the social impact? The importance to measure the social impact are to increase the understanding of the impact of the work in the organization. Second, to create the stronger communication of the value of the work between the organization and the internal, also the external stakeholder. Third, to improve the program management by planning the effect by doing the effective planning and efficient evaluation. And lastly, to enhance the attention to the social value of creation in the business operation. By implementing environmental cost to an organization, it will give a positive impact to social. For example, it will increase the consumer acceptance or awareness about the company's product and services and improve the quality of life of the community. Nowadays, consumers are more enlightened and informed about eco-friendly products and also concerned for their life, health, and family when it comes to going green. Customers who do care about the environment will have an interest with the company's products and services that produced by safe material. Thus, this will resulting in improving their quality of life. Furthermore, there are lots of support from the non-government organization (NGO) that supporting the going green and eco-friendly product. So it will enhance the brand or the product of the company that produced from the safe material.
Hello everyone. So the next topic to be discussed is the initiative in environmental related management accounting. So there is several initiative in environmental related management accounting, which is first eco-efficiency, second environmental life cycle costing, third waste management, fourth environmental performance evaluation, and the last one is environmental supply chain management. So let's discuss more about this topic. So the first environmental initiative is eco-efficiency. So let's figure out what is the eco-efficiency, the indicator, the element of the eco-efficiency and also its example. What is eco-efficiency? So eco-efficiency is one of the environmental management initiative that create more value in the business through the use of technology and the changes of process with the objective in reducing resources use and environmental impact throughout the product and service activities. However, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, which is known as WBCSD, define eco-efficiency as an indicator that relates product and service value with environmental influence. So eco-efficiency is equal to the product or service value over the environmental influence. So product and service value here refer to the turnover or profit that enhance the quality of product and services. Meanwhile, the environmental influence refer to the energy, material, water consumption, as well as the waste and emission in terms of volume were reused to reduce the impact. So what is the indicator of eco-efficiency? There is three indicators of eco-efficiency, which is turnover, net sales, and value added. For the first one is turnover, which is the turnover is a very good indicator whereby it is directly related to the production volume as reference of the material flow balance. The flow balance is a physical measure where the quantity of the product produced and sold are measured in kilogram, volume, and number, which is it is the most useful nominator. The second one is the net sales. So net sales helps in adjusting the turnover by sales discounts, sales returns, and allowances. The caution must be paid as production volumes are not directly linked to the monetary sales figure, which are influenced by the sales from stock, commodity price, currency exchange rate, and customers' demand. So the last indicator is a value added. So the value added is equal to the net sales minus with the cost of goods sales and services purchased. So the value added reflects well the contributions of the company to its product value. So it is calculated by reviewing their profit and loss accounts and deducting all the items comprising purchased goods and services from the revenues. So we're moving on to the element of eco-efficiency. So there is 7 elements of eco-efficiency, which is reducing material requirements for goods and services. Second, reducing energy intensity of goods and services. Third, enhancing some material recyclability. Fourth, reducing toxic dispersion. Fifth, maximizing the sustainability use of the renewable resources. Six, extending product durability. And the last one is increasing the service intensity of goods and services. So now you have know the elements of eco-efficiency. So let's move on to the examples of implementations of eco-efficiency.
Okay guys, so let me explain about the example of eco-efficiency. There are few business that have used eco-efficiency for building conversion. For example, Southwest Properties and Office Interior Group, which is based in Canada, had converted an old brewery into office and showroom and manufacturing facility. Eco-efficiency measures used during the conversion included the installations of energy efficiency light, recycling of paper and wood products and metals, purchase of energy efficient office equipment, reuse of existing material, and considerations of future use for the building conversion.
Right now, I will explain to you the environmental life cycle costing. So, what is environmental life cycle costing? It is summarize all costs associated with the life cycle of the product that are directly covered by one or more the actors in the life cycle, such as supplier, producer, user that involved until the end of the life cycle. The environmental life cycle costing includes present and future money flows as well as those to be internalized in the decision in the relevant future. Right now, I will explain to you the costs may be take into account in the environmental life cycle costing. So the first one is the cost related uh, to acquisition. It is related to the acquisition of new customer or takeover of a competitor, such as legal fees, commissions, and removed discounts. The second one is the end of life cost. In this cost, it is the cost incurred at the end of life cycle stage, such as take back program, disposal fees, and pollution and remediation. The third one is the maintenance cost. It is the cost that repairs the equipment used to produce the product. And the fourth one is the cost of use consumption of energy and other resources. The cost incurred of when the equipment use the energy to produce the product and provide the services to the company. And the last one is the cost inputted to environmental externalities linked to product and services. This means environmental effects of production and consumption that affect customer utility and enterprise costs outside the market mechanism will affect the product and services in the company.
We know what is environmental performance evaluation. Environmental performance evaluation is the internal management process that provides information to facilitate management decisions on environmental performance. So, what are the standards that are included in environmental performance evaluation? The standards included are such as ISO 14001 and also ISO 14031. So, there are three steps in implementing EPE using PDCA cycle. The first one is plan. Plan is a selection of indicators. We should planning on environmental performance criteria and also take in account overall scope of activity. Second, do. We should collect data on regular basis and then convert the data into information that we wanted. The third one is check and also act. Check and add mean we review and also improve our performance in data that we are collecting. If there is any possibility action to be taken, we should take it. And also, the result of evaluation must be reviewed periodically. So, what is the indicator of environmental performance evaluation? There are three indicators in environmental performance evaluation. The first one is MPI, second one is OPI, and the third one is ECI. So the first one is MPI, Management Performance Indicator. So MPI are going to provide information on management effort to influence organization's performance. The example for MPI is such as time spent to responding to environmental incident and also environmental cost or budget. The second one is OPI, Operation Performance Indicator. So OPI is going to provide information on environmental performance of organization's operation. Example for OPI is such as raw material used per unit of product and also hazardous waste generated per unit of product. So for the third is ECI is environmental condition indicator. So ECI is going to give you specific expression by providing informations on global condition. Example for ECI is such as contaminant concentration in air and also the changes in groundwater level. So what is the example of impact on environment? The first one is toxic waste. So toxic waste is any unwanted material in all form that can cause harm. For example, such as petrol, kerosene, and also pesticide. Second is water pollution. So water pollution occur when harmful substance of chemical contaminate in a river or a stream. So early in 2019, there is a water pollution in Pasir Gudang which involved Kim Kim River. The third is deforestation. So deforestation is a permanent removal of trees to make something else beside forest. Uh, to let you know, Malaysia had the world highest rate of forest loss between 2000 and 2012, according to a new global forest map developed in partnership with Google. Fourth is long-term damage to ecosystem. So, because of the damage of to ecosystem, there will cause increased flooding due to erosion of soil, and also it will cause rising of sea level due to melting of glacier caused by the global warming. The last one is hazardous air emission. So toxic air pollution can cause cancer or other serious health effects such as um, birth defect or adverse environmental effect. So there are four initiatives of environmental supply chain to reduce environmental impact. The first one is engagement with supplier. So maybe company can work with supplier to identify the sources of pollution and also discover preventive measure. Second is applying precautionary approach. There is a lot of approach that we can apply, but choose the one that which is more effective and also efficient to reduce the environmental impact. Third one is environmental legal compliant. So maybe company can provide guideline on how to reduce environmental impact. The last one is continuous environmental improvement in supply chain. So company can influence supplier and all stakeholder to practice the same practice, and so this non-stop cycle will eventually impact society and also the earth on so much larger scale to reduce the environmental impact. So next we're going to cover implementation in environmental supply chain. The first one is eco-labeling. So eco-labeling is a labeling that environmentally certified and also practices around the world, and it helps to identify and also provide clarifications on environmental friendly product. The second one is a guideline on responsible supply chain management there is one program which is Global Social Compliance Program. So this program is actually a business-driven program for the continuous improvement of working and also environmental conditions in global supply chain. For example, in ISO 2000. So ISO 2000 is an international guidance standard on social responsibility, which include environment, to be applied in the supply chain. So next, we're going to know what is the benefit for eco-labeling scheme. The first benefit is it will encourage suppliers to get their own product to get eco-labeling. Next, it will inviting more suppliers to be a part of eco-labeling program.
Hello and welcome to Business Planet. We're in the French city of Poitiers this week to talk about the European Eco-Label. For consumers, the label is a true reference that helps them identify more than 17,000 products that have a reduced impact on the environment. For entrepreneurs, it's both a way to take action to protect the planet and also a good way of boosting business.
This medium-sized company is an eco-label pioneer. It was the first to obtain certification for shampoos and shower gels. But it owes its success to the sale of cleaning products such as dishwashing and washing up liquid, which opened up the business to large retail outlets around a decade ago. Annual turnover has grown from a few €100,000 to 26 million. Today it's the leading business in certified ecological cleaning products in France.
At the start of the 21st century, there weren't many certified products on the market. There was a lot of greenwashing. Ours were the first products in France to get an internationally recognized certification, and that's thanks to the Eco-Label.
As an eco-labelled company, L'Arbre Vert is frequently audited. The company invests large sums in research and development.
We have 7 researchers working on innovative formulas. We spend more than €1 million per year on R&D. How do you qualify for an eco-label? What are the criteria? Let's ask an expert here in Paris.
The European Eco-Label is the only official ecological certification valid throughout the European Union. It's delivered by independent organizations and guarantees the ecological quality of the product throughout its life cycle. In addition, and this is just as important, the Eco-Label ensures product performance.
On the one hand, the Eco-Label is a guarantee that the product is as good as any standard product. And it also guarantees you won't need to use twice as much to get the same result.
There are around 50 categories of products or services likely to get an Eco-Label. But beware, criteria can vary.
It ranges from graphic paper to paint, textiles and mattresses. The criteria for handing out a European Eco-Label are specific for each product category.
For me, the Eco-Label was a key to success, backing up my environmental claims. Don't forget, your ability to innovate will make you stand out.
So for Global Social Compliance Program, it will act as a platform for the exchange of knowledge and also practices to build compatibility and also transparency of the existing system, as well as to keep awareness and on applicable legal requirements.
So the last initiative to be discussed is the waste management. So what is waste management? Waste management or waste disposals includes the activities and actions required to manage the waste from its inception to its final disposal. So this includes the collection, transportation, treatment and disposal of the waste.
together with monitoring and regulations of the waste management process. So, along with the growing population in the most of the countries, waste generation had increased rapidly. So, the example of the waste produced is the solid waste and the liquid waste. So, all types of the waste could be dangerous to the environment, and this will impact the organization if it is not be treated accordingly. Environmental accounting for waste management can be based on three different perspectives comparable to the three features of environmental accounting, such as accounting for monetary and physical flows in waste streams and activities, accounting for hidden environmental costs of waste stream, and accounting for external environmental impacts of waste stream. The first feature of the environmental accounting is accounting for monetary and physical flows in waste streams and activities. So a lot of physical flow paths that deliver the waste services, and each physical flow path covers a lot of activities, where it shows a complicated process of basic activities through physical waste, and we cannot oversimplify the data. So it is necessary for the organization to understand cost of each waste activity and the flow path in order to identify the whole cost for the system. So there are many ways to handle the waste streams, such as landfills, recycling, composting, and waste recovery. Second feature of environmental accounting for waste management, we focus on accounting for hidden environmental costs of waste stream. Besides direct costs, waste stream also involve indirect costs such as administration costs, waste education, reporting, and auditing costs. Sometimes, administrative and waste education management can be very important. For example, education and promotion activities of waste management to the public can be essential management costs that come for the most financial resources, but it is hardly to be recognized separately in administrative overhead. This will be difficult to assign sufficient resources in order to reduce the cost if the hidden cost is not fully recorded. The last feature of the environmental accounting will discuss on the accounting for external environment impacts of waste streams. So, previously, output from the waste streams are borne by the natural environment. But nowadays, with huge concern from the people of all over the world, this way is no longer accepted by the public, as it had give a bad impacts to the environment and the public, such as the existence of the landfill disposal, which had led to the groundwater contamination, toxic and dangerous air pollution, and contaminations of surface water supply. So this resulting to the potential damage of human health. Thus, the organization should take these negative impacts seriously. Hence, the proper waste management is very important to ensure that the environmental impact is not occur. Thus, this will reduce the cost incurred.